the Heat lost a thriller last night, or last night when I'm recording this. But Jimmy Butler was a star on both ends. But we're going to go over his defense from that game today, which was just phenomenal, game-changing, and a great representation of what the Miami Heat do on defense and how Butler, as the linchpin, kind of makes their aggressive off-ball scheme work. And it all starts with anticipatory greatness like this, where Jimmy Butler plays free safety, cutting off passing lanes that seem wide open. This is a pretty risky play, as Jimmy is kind of fully abandoning this corner, which would be a pretty easy little skip pass over. But he knows that Anthony Simons is not a great passer. We'll talk about KYP, know your personnel. Jimmy is a KYP master. He knows that this is the pass. He knows it's coming before Anthony Simons even releases the ball. Like right here, the ball is still in Anthony Simons' hand, and Jimmy is already racing to steal the ball. Jeremy Grant isn't even ready to catch the pass, and Jimmy is ready and pouncing on that. And that's a clean catch and a clean steal. His anticipation is obviously special and is part of what has made him one of the best defenders in the league for years and years and years at this point. Jimmy is such a disruptor in the middle of the floor, which is arguably the most dangerous part of the defense for the offense to get into. And he just hawks on careless passes. Look at this stance. He is ready to pounce on this, and you just can't be lazy like this around Jimmy Butler because you're going to get turned over, and he is going to turn these plays into 2 points for Miami in transition. I think this play is a really great example of just the kind of disruption that Jimmy produces in this general area, which again is where middle pull-up threes, these pick and rolls, getting into the middle and being able to pass out, and Jimmy denies all of that. To begin this play, we see Jimmy, who is guarding Jeremy Grant, but they like to switch here all the time, and Jimmy is aggressive, going over the screen, totally blows up this initial action that the Blazers wanted to go for. And then, despite not even being a pass from or to Jimmy's man, is able to have eyes in the back of his head. Incredible anticipation. Again, we see the ball is barely out of Josh Hart's hand, and Jimmy's already sliding over to tap that ball with his length. He's guarding Damian Lillard here, which again, this is a risk because Lillard has that crazy range to spot up and hit from out here consistently, but Jimmy's anticipation and trust in his teammates to cover for his mistakes, which we'll get into, means that he's empowered to make these aggressive plays and force turnovers for the Heat, which they did all night, just absolutely making, working in the passing lanes hell for the Blazers. He is one of, if not the premier nail defenders in the NBA. The nail being this area of the floor around the elbow, where a lot of those middle drives again come. And Jimmy is a master of digging hard at the nail, getting steals, making it so hard for guys to drive. The Heat love to clog these driving lanes and middle driving gaps, because again, that is where so many easy shots come. But with Jimmy aggressively digging, especially in early offense where the spacing isn't set up great, and there's, this is not going to punish if Jimmy, does kind of miss and Lillard passes out. But the fact that he's able to dig so effectively is a testament to his anticipation, his instincts, his ability to read offense and make plays and just make life absolute hell for opposing offensive players. Again, even when he doesn't get a steal, this presence at the nail bothers Damian Lillard. He's low. He has to pick up his dribble probably earlier than he wanted to, and ends up being forced into a really tough shot that is end up blocked by Bam. But all of this starts because Jimmy, if Jimmy isn't here, this is a free run where Lillard can use his pacing. He can maybe throw a pass to Yusuf Nurkic, kick out, because Caleb Martin got beat on the initial screen. But Jimmy helping at the nail here takes away that middle, takes away that interior drive, and is the heart of what he does and why he's so incredible on defense. And even when he misses, the Heat are so aggressive, flying around and closing out. Jimmy again, in a more traditional kind of X out, would just go hard to the first pass, and Caleb Martin would take the second pass, but he goes for this steal, anticipating that pass. He guessed right and just missed, but because Caleb Martin comes all the way from the top of the key, to sprint and close out to Josh Hart. That's just what these Heat wing defenders do. Jimmy can kind of do that without really worrying about giving up a shot that's too wide open. As we've kind of seen, like you just cannot be careless around Jimmy Butler. You cannot. No matter who you are, Josh Hart is a pretty solid handler for a wing, but if you lose focus for even a second, Jimmy will poke the ball away from you, just because of how crazy quick his hands are, how well he uses his length, how strong those hands are as well. You really just cannot get away from him. And again, we see these aggressive closeouts we talked about a couple plays ago, with Caleb Martin covering for Jimmy. This time it was Jimmy closing out really hard to this Anthony Simons 3. Again, we talk about know your personnel, KYP. Anthony Simons is the shooter, the scorer on this lineup. And this is, not the best defense. Caleb gets stuck on the pick and roll, and Dwayne Dedmon is, not a very effective pick and roll defender. It's a lot different from having Bam in there who can play at the level. So Jimmy comes all the way off the corner to jump at Simons and bother the shot, when, again, this would be a super easy pass for a wide open 3. 1, Simons isn't a great passer, as we established, and 2, Justice Winslow is not a shooter. So Jimmy feels confident that he can do this and that his team will have his back. Again, he is the heart of this aggressive kind of, flying around, going for steals, hard closeout system. And it, for most of this game, really worked, except for that, big run the Blazers went on, which was kind of fueled by some really tough shot making. And the Heat missed a lot of shots in this game. They were definitely the better team, and their defense gave Portland a lot of problems. And the main reason for that is Jimmy Butler's off-ball greatness. His ability to work the passing lanes, to take away options, and to cover all sorts of ground, and take away the areas where the offense wants to get is special. And it's so fun to watch him play.